Hi, welcome to EVE Online. I'm Major Freak. So I'll give you an example what I mean by the horrendous Caldari habit. It's just awful. So here's a system that is in a kind of middle of the constellation. It's semi near all the exits to the constellation. The the number of exiting constellations is like five. That's not good. Prefer one when you're doing missions, right? Uh, but there it is. You're in the middle of the constellation. You got two jumps to every way out. That's pretty good, and uh, it's in a point 0.5 system, which would be awesome. And the thing is that when you check it out for, how many agents are in there, you go into Eve Missioner, and you go 22 stations, 34 agents. Oh, I bet there's some sweet stuff in there, right? So you go and you go, wow, look at all this Caldari Navy, Light Day. Oh wow, there's so much. Let's spread it out here. Like, look at all this. Wow, this is a whoa. This, uh-oh. And then the horror of it all descends. Just one agent, one agent, one agent, one agent, one agent, one agent, two agents, two agents, one agent, two agents, three agents, one agent, two agents. Oh, and it just goes on and on and on. And you're like, ah. Oh, it it seems to be the Caldari way. It's just, if you put any length of time into researching this stuff, it's just horrifying. It's Jesus Christ. You think you'd be able to find, okay, well, the level 3 and level 2 and level 1 maybe in the same station. That'd be great, maybe with a storyline. But the only storyline in here is a rapid assembly factory with a level 2 mining agent, 1. And there are, like, God bless the Caldari, they have some wonderful mining agent hubs that are just, you wouldn't believe it. It's just like, ah, it's a drool city. But normally this is what you get faced with in Caldari, in for Caldari anything. It's just, oh my god, yeah. They got redundancy like nobody's business. It's an interesting aside, an interesting insight into not the lore that CCP blabs on about, and their random coffee-induced chronicles, but the actual reality on the ground. It's like, wow, I don't see this in you don't see this in freaking a Mars space a lot, or as typical, right? It's typically, ugh, one station, good. Penurgman is, but Penurgman's got a lot of Caldari stations in it, right? So, anyways, that's one little aspect of the game that's intriguing, right? Along with the very fascinating, I'll just show you right now because we are talking about Caldari. Very fast, and I'll bring it up when I finally do the hopefully not long awaited uh, a, a redo of my. Let's say, ooh, let's try it. The mute button. Oh, I love this new microphone. This mute button is just awesome. Hopefully, I didn't jam the button too hard. All right, so let's go to corporations. Let's go to Caldari. So we got Caldari State, right? And Caldari State has four main. You think there would be like tons and tons of megacorps, and they're all competing with each other. There's just four main megacorps because you can tell that we're going by the lore here. We're going by the official canon. So Kyoto Corporation has a stake in the chief executive panel. You go to the chief executive panel, and there's only four that have an equal share. And you'd think if there were equal competitors, they'd be on this board too, right? And there's not another chief executive panel by another name, uh, with a whole different set of competing megacorps. It's just the one. Let's just confirm, right? So yeah, it's like Caldari Navy, chief executive panel. Yeah, as you can see, there's no other, right? There's no other competing chief executive panels. So yeah, there's 4. I know. It's like, what the hell? So we've got Ishikun, and this is the point I wanted to get to. That's really interesting. Each of these 4 main megacorps, and I think there's a couple of more that have their own, but they have their own personal police force, right? And the really interesting thing is the ridiculous amount of fucking secure, like, blah, like, look at that. Like, all that, like, you've got so much spam with security agents. It's ridiculous. There's one that's unbelievable. Like, this is and sometimes they'll have in the same station, right? This is the cradle to grave system for security, and there's 2, I'm sure Oppo is like 0.8 or something, so it kind of sucks. Yeah, but see, it's like they've got cradle to grave security agent stations in, and it's total spam, and they go all out for this kind of thing, right? It's amazing. Like, and then we have Kelaki Ota. They have in Home Guard. That's nobody else. Like, this is their police force, right? And they've got where is it? Torinos. Yeah, Torinos is just like bananas, and they don't have it spread out like they usually do for typical. It's kind of, but typically these police forces have, like, in one station they've just got a cradle to grave thing going on, and it's like amazing. I wish there was more of this because it would make life so much easier, but whatever. This is what, we go to war with the president we have, the president we like. So internal security, right, is for the, oh my god, it's a really hard thing to say. I've tried to do it. Give me a sec. It's pretty fun. Yeah, I think it's Finnish. Oops. Give me a sec here. I'll spare you the scrolling and stuff. Google Translate. And detect language. And I'll pop that in. It's Uzbek, right? And
Nugo AUV. Nugo AUV.
Nugo Havu, forget it. Right? So, and they have internal security. And internal security has point, and point is just amazing. Look, check this out. It's crazy. Where is it? Look at that. Cradle grave. Boom, done. Right? Look at this. It's so crazy. Look. Well, okay, that's not cradle grave. It's missing a level 3. But yeah, this system is cradle grave. It's just like, what the hell? Level 3, level 4, 3 level 2s. That is cradle grave right there at this point. And I mean, I'm sure the hashtag big ass moon aesthetics is going on. But yeah, you get the concept is definitely deliberate on the part of CCP programming to make sure this happens, right? Because it can't be like, these are the 4 that are just like this, and it's just, wow, this is really cool. And oh my god, give me a sec. I think that's Finnish. Google Translate. Finnish, yeah.
Sukuvesta.
Sokovesta, I can say that. But yeah, it's just amazing stuff. and their one is Peace and Order, right? So Peace and Order. They've got it's in Eskin and where's it? See, look, same station, which is odd because Caldari, you're so used to like them, like, oh, we have a hub, let's spread it over like 5 stations, drive everybody nuts. But yeah, it's interesting when you look at this kind of stuff, and it kind of fleshes out in a very in-your-face, hands-on way that Mini Rant isn't reflected in storylines or the narrative or the overarching way that the stories try to describe the different factions, right? It's just like watching a random DS9 episode about Quark's laundry or something. It's like, oh, great, okay, I really learn a lot about stuff, right? It's like, yeah, for Christ's sake, Star Trek is more defined than, right? Yeah, I'm working on it. Yeah, because somebody's got to do it, and it's got to be done, because it's been 20 years, right? And let's just get her done. It'll be a pain to do, but look, I mean, once it's done, right? And since CCP isn't doing diddly about it, and the fan base, like, Ashtarothi is great for the lore and stuff. I really recommend it if you're into like lore and his attitude towards it. It's really cool. But yeah, to get down to brass tacks, let's get detailed. Let's get down and go, hey, what's the politics like? Well, how did the government work? How does the politics work? What does one side consider conservative, and what does it also consider as liberal? What's the human rights? Are all the factions horrible for civil rights? It's like, are they all fascist? Are there any of them like you ask 3 people what a definition of the left is, and you'll get 4 different answers as to and conflicting answers as to what communism means versus socialism. And it's like, Jesus Christ, could you get away from the the monolithic command kind of structure and talk about it's very racist, and it's very like, it just sounds way too much like the Judaic Bolshevism fascist propaganda that the Nazis used in the Reich, and before them people used it as well, right? It's the whole, and it's like these days it's like we got it, like there's a little bit more concern about what actually is going on and who's spewing lies, and there's some deep racism going on in the world right now, and the media is just like eating it like popcorn, and you're like, shit's gonna go down in the future. There are consequences for this, eventually. So, yeah, not like the West cares about consequences, but it's like, this is a fractured planet of politics, and the UN is toothless, but we're dealing with a interstellar organization that has a central government for each faction that runs freaking constellations of planets. So how do you, like, what's their religion? Like, how, like, they're all human based, right? They all come from our solar system, in the far future, of course, but how do you deal with the religion of each? Like, what's the religion of the Caldari? Do they have a religion? It's like, what is it based on? Is it fundamentalist? Is it is it aka evangelical, right? Is it is it monolithic? Of course it's not monolithic. I'm sure all religions everywhere in the universe have splinter factions, right? But what kind of stuff like that, and to have a in-game basis to anchor these guesses, this fumbling in the dark, really helps. Like to be able to say, oh yeah, usually Caldari are like spread all over, but when it comes to like their military, their police, their internal police, holy crap, do they know how to focus, right? And it's like, okay, what does that mean in a society? Is are they really a police state? Like, is it actually a police state? And if it's a police state and they're corporations are right wing, but by nature being fascistic, because that's how fascism works. It promotes private industry, right? That's how, yeah, it's very pro corporate, right? So it's like, so is that it? Are they super fascist and have internal police? And is it like, but if they have different competing corporations, do they have a, do they like, is the chief executive panel, is it a party? How to describe party? Do you ever played or heard of Mega Traveler? Let me bring it up here. I've got, just found a PDF online about the Solomani in Mega Traveler. They have a party, right? I'm sure that Mega Traveler fans are like, ooh, right? Where is it? So, bring up this real quick. Why is it so fuzzy? I just bought a new hard drive. It's powering off that. My hard drive better not crash. We were really ticked off. Okay, that's weird. Let's try that again. That's not good. Okay, there we go. That's better. Alright, so Soleimani. What the hell? What the? Why can't I? What the hell's going on? One second, my apologies. A little bit of confusion here. New folder. Oh boy. Mega Traveler. Alright. Boop. Okay, let's try it this way. Weird. Why can't I? Why can't I zoom? That is really weird, isn't it? Thanks, Windows. You suck. Like, why is it? Why are you freaking out on me? It's like, what the hell? What is wrong? Okay, why is it like this? This is super weird. Alright. So 35. I need 34. Come on. Sorry about this. Oh, for Christ's sake. Okay. What? This is real. Wow. This is really annoying. Damn it. Okay, trying my browser history, but it's like Windows is just has been dumbed down so much over the years, right? It's gotten really dumb. Okay, come on. Just scroll on the other monitor here. Spare you the scrolling. Oh boy. Come on. Yeah, I've done a lot of web. Oh, here it is. No, not that one. Getting close. Come on. Nope. Yes. Nope. All right. So I want. Bloody hell. There. Is it? Yeah. I want page 34. Go. All right. Hopefully we'll get some answers here. Yeah, but the party, it's kind of like the Nazi Party-ish. You know, the Soleimani Party is the only political, I'm just quoting right now, is the only political party permitted within the Soleimani Confederation. The member city is restricted to Soleimani humans, although non-Soleimani can become members if they agree with the principles of the party. Party standing, all Soleimani are technically members of the Soleimani Party, but many are not active in it. Party standing indicates the degree in which the Soleimani participates in the party. So it's, you know, I'm assuming it's a bit like the friggin' Nazi Party, right? Back they modeled off that, and I'm sure there are like gotta learn how to use this mute button. It's so handy. It works perfectly too. So there's no hesitation. So the party standings means political power, right, within the Soleimani Party, as opposed to party rank, which only indicates actual title, right? So to a degree, the combination of party standing and party rank together give the most complete picture of true position with the party for party career characters. This is a role-playing game, so RPG. Party rank indicates the level an individual has achieved within the hierarchy of the Soleimani Party. Party standing indicates the actual power and influence an individual holds, so party rank is more of a title or job position. You know, power behind the scenes kind of thing. While party standing indicates actual clout, an individual with a high party rank has more opportunities within the party to use that clout because of his or her post. What up? How'd I... What the... Alright. I'm gonna have to trim this video. It's getting really annoying. anyways, whatever. I know what the hell I'm talking about. All right, so basically, in a nutshell, party in the Mega Traveler Solomani Confederation kind of role playing environment was the idea that in order, like, it's sort of like Heineken's, is it Heineken's Spaceship Troopers, that in order to become citizens of that civilization, you had to be considered voting rights. You had to be part of the military. So it's kind of like an organization you have to partake in if you're going to influence politics or have any kind of clout in the system. You had to become part of this party. So it's like, does the Caldari Federation have that in solid form, right? Let's see. So we've got the Chief Executive Panel, got the Corporate Police Force. It's I said right, so I said Yoda is this one. So it's not the main four, but it's still got a police force. It's not showing shareholding of, which is weird. I think they just must have goofed up, possibly. Right? So it's got, they should have it ownership, but yeah, I mean, delving through this is not the most user-friendly thing in the world, but you start to see patterns. It's really interesting. Mercantile Club is the kind of like the party, right? Shares is not all the main ones. Caldari Business Tribunal, let's check that out. So okay, yeah, it's not reflected perfectly in this interface and the corporation system. But if you think about it, what if it's a party, it wouldn't be a corporation, right? Because that'd be different, right? I mean, you think of all the entities like Starship Troopers and say the World War II fascistic political entities. They weren't a corporation per se, right? So this could be above the pay grade of corporations in the sense of when you have political power, you might have corporations dealing with the political, like the Chief Executive Panel. Let's see if we can find it in the wording, right? Yeah, it's like, don't go overboard in competing with each other, smoothing over potential conflicts. But it looks like it's an anti-competitive thing and a negotiating tool. But it doesn't seem to be like the panel also handles foreign policy. Okay, so this is the closest thing they'll ever get to a government. They'll handle foreign policy, like advisors, like, think tanks these days, right? Handling foreign policy, they pretty much own foreign policy, and right? But is there an overarching Caldari sense to this, right? It's like, yeah, they don't go overboard and competing with each other, but is there a national sense to, they've all got all these competing stuff and they don't trust each other and they've got their own private police forces, but where's that central ethos that makes them, we have to get beyond, it's very, it's difficult for us as humans on planet Earth because our global government is not really in existence, and it has not been ever, right? So you got to think, okay, so we've got to think that way about these entities, and force ourselves to go, we have to ask these questions because it has to be answered in order to define, not just describe, the very mechanics of what actually happens when you go, oh, okay, I'm a Kalak employee. What do I think of a Sukavestra employee, right? Oh, he's a punk. He's less than me. I'm better than him. But we're all Caldari. It's not like we're all human because everybody's human in New Eden. It's like there's no aliens, right? So it's like, is there a bias against Sukavestas as not part of the Caldari state, right? I mean, this is a one state frickin' solution here, right? So it's like, they're not, right? So it's like, how do we define that? We can describe these people to the ends of the earth, but it's like, how do you define like their interactions as a unity, a cooperating unity that will go to war against other things, right? It's not just they're at war with others just to find a common ground, right? No, it's there's more to it than that. So where do we define it? Where does the political, like they don't have a federation chief like the Galantes do. They don't have an emperor like the Amarians do. But what's their like ethos? How do they function as non-competing? It's not just the executive panel. It's got to be a face of the Caldaris, right? And it has to be some sort of way that they can cooperate with each other in a very fascistic way. And it seems to me that the fascists in history use an overarching party, don't they? I mean, echoes towards the Third Reich, right? The party membership, and there was a lot of rubbing shoulders with the corporations back then. We know it, like, to be honest with each other, right? So, how can we describe that? And like going with that mega traveler, I'm trying to get some source material. Yeah, I mean, I'll try to. I can't really seem to get some good. Can you see that? I'm sure the graphics are gonna even worse on YouTube. I can't seem to zoom in. It's really annoying. Yeah, no matter what I do. I can get it on the site that goes for it. It is, give me a sec. Let's see if I can quickly do this. I've tried it before and it was really frustrating, so I'll give up as soon as I have trouble. Yeah, it's scripty. You pretty much have to like 33. Let's try 33, page 33. So bear with me here. I'll see what I can do. Whoops. No, that's not it. I am gonna ignore that. It basically, there's a party. If you want to be part of the populace, you got to join it and have influence in getting what you want, and just being part of politics. That's the route you have to go when you're interested in having clout and rank in the party that makes things go as a universal Caldari thing. So the Caldari state would have a Caldari party that, that would work in that kind of environment. That would be different than, say, the Federation, where it's, everybody gets an equal vote, though I'm assuming, and the Federation president is elected and he's in office, yada yada, and it's a democratic republic kind of way, whereas the fascistic party way is you have to pretty much pay into this system if you want to participate. It's not like landholders, like back when the Constitution of the United States was made, the landholders wanted control, and male landholders were the ones who got to vote, right? So that was the way it initially started. And so is it feudal? Like, what, is there any feudal civilization or like feudal like in Eve, right? So you just, okay, so yeah, it's just how to flesh out, okay, great, they're competing corporations, but why aren't they at each other's throat? Okay, it's because of this chief executive panel, but yeah, how does the normal Caldari citizen who's an employee of, definitely has to be an employee of one of these megacorps, feel about the Caldari state as a whole, right? And how do middle managers and upper managers smooth shoulders with everybody to get things rolling in a Caldari state kind of fashion? How do you get contracts for weapons for Caldari Navy, right? Like, how does that happen? Let's check it out. Like, that would be a good way to detail it. It's like, okay, let's get down to brass tacks and look at the actual Caldari Navy, right? Because obviously Caldari Navy, right? So let's check it out. Is there anybody owning shares? Okay, so the chief executive panel owns 100% the Caldari Navy. So that could, like, it's not, you could call the chief executive panel a party, but it's the procurement, it's the foreign policy, I'm assuming it's the procurement because they own the Caldari Navy. So it's like, this is the chief executive panel that gets the taxes, so it's basically the party of the Caldaris, right? The fascistic party that you have to buy into to take part and have clout. And it has, it's got its tendrils and everything, not just, it's just a boys club for the executive panel, right? Or girls club, I mean, how many executives or how many high-level agents of the Caldaris are female, right? So it's probably representative of, oh my god, I fucked it up. So embarrassing. I suck so bad sometimes. Give me a sec. Because if I keep trying, I'll just embarrass myself further.
Representative.
Yes, of course. Oh my god. Cannot brain have the dumb. Right? Because this game was created back in 2003, right? But went public in 2003 or 2004. And so, even though a lot of the developers are male, they probably had a decent grasp on how not to look misogynist. So I'm assuming that this fascistic party that you can buy into for both males and females of Caldari is sort of like stuff where middle management might have a rank in a megacorporation, say. They would have a party membership in the party, the chief executive panel, as a member of that party that rub shoulders with with other, like, it's kind of like a State Department. It would be the State Department where everybody would be an employee of a megacorp, but they'd have a party standing, right? They'd have a rank in their megacorp, but they'd have a standing with the party. But how to flesh it out, right? But they'd also have a rank in that party, but it would be something beyond the scope of this corporate interface that we use, right? So it's like how to flesh out the stuff that is beyond the scope of stuff, right? And you go look, and I'll try quickly. Eve Online literature, right? Nope. Eve Online lore Eve Universe. All right, here we go. So quickly we'll go through it. Universe, Empire, no factions. Could you order it by freaking... Did I miss it? Oh, these are minor fractions. Oh, so annoying. Anyways, empires. Okay, so color state. Read more. So, bam. Let's go. Wait. Okay, so that got it. All right, so corporate capitalism. They're the same thing, you idiots. Sorry. Deep breath. Okay, I'm not going to read this out because it's just going to annoy me. Okay, so what are the customs, right? What are the customs and laws of the Caldari state, right? Who writes those laws? Is it the chief executive panel? Because I didn't see, as in the Galantes, I didn't see a corporation that dealt with judicial, right? Is this it? No, see, okay, so they got banking and they got records, but I swear they don't have, like the Galantes do, right? So, right? So it's like, why did you say that? Right? Laws and customs, okay, there's no corporation like the Galante do, but okay, what are they? Who's running it? Is it it has to be the chief executive panel, right? Yeah, it's like how can we have it a healthy social environment that benefits all the corporations as under this party umbrella of the chief executive panel as a party, right? Yeah, it doesn't help, right? Yeah, and meddlesome in the sense that they'd need a party, they'd need an overarching party to mesh, so it's not like you're the Civil War all the time, right? And how, like, to me, the megacorps seem more like the Vland in Mega Traveler than Solomani, right? It just feels like it should be that way. The traditional, like, customs and laws, the traditions that bind Caldari and prevent them from really innovating a lot. That yes, they might be very efficient. They might be like I read recently some official blurb about how Caldari's push out the newest battleship. But when you look at their ships, they all like the rattlesnake and the scorpion, and they kind of look the same, and they're all blocky, and they're all very straight lined, and it's very efficient, but at the same time it doesn't look very innovative, right? And okay, well, great, they've got the top of the line stuff, but it's like, you know, Honor Harrington's universe where it's escaping my mind right now. Harrington Honorverse. What's that big frickin'... Not talking about the Republic of Haven, nor the Star King of Manticore. I'm talking about... the Solarian Corps. Yeah, the Solarians. The Solarian Corps, how, you know, they had their big battle fleets and they were all arrogant and they thought they had the best of the best of the best. But it was just, you know, Vanya, you know, a concept. I'll bring that up. It's Franyo. Pronunciation. Franyo pronunciation. Because I think it's Vanya. No, that's not it.
Pronounce names.
No. Bloody hell.
Вранье.
Franyo.
Вранье.
Okay, I heard it as Vanya originally, but it was probably a mishearing. So, Franyo. It's, I'm lying, you know I'm lying, I know, you know I'm lying, but everything's fine. That's, in a nutshell, why the Ukraine war didn't go as planned. Everything's fine. Oh yeah, we could totally do it. And it throws good money after bad, because if you tell the truth and say you're losing, you're going to get demoted and stuff like that. But if you say you could be losing badly, but you say I'm winning, we're making a breakthrough, and you'll get good money thrown after bad, because that's just the way it works. And even if the light shines on that area and they find out what a horrible mess it is, that person gets promoted just because of the Vranya culture. And it's not just, I'm saying it's not just Russia that has this problem, this corrupt problem. It's everywhere. It's like the West can't brag about the West can't brag about having honest leaders, can it? Just look at Jesus. Yeah, you don't have to name him. Okay, so, and the competition needs to gel, so this Vanya of everything's fine needs to have some sort of, right? Some sort of gel to define it, other than just simply trying to say this chief executive panel. It just doesn't sound right? Like an ordinary citizen or a middle manager isn't part of the chief executive panel. They're not sitting on it, they're not chief, and they're not executive. So how do you, right? So it's like, okay, party, okay, we get the very militant, but at the same time, each of the corporations has their own militant organization. So it's not, could you call them paramilitaries? It's like, right? So it's like, okay, they're militant, but at the same time, when they focus on other stuff, they're all like all over the place, and they got stations with one agent in them. So how does that make sense? They're not very focused unless it comes to internal security. and the whole party, the KGB, what was the Gestapo, like very Gestapo-like. So the image of this very efficient, like mega traveler Villani faction is very Villani race is very rigid but very efficient. It's very, very efficient, but there are weaknesses, right? The one agent station and like in a system with dozens of Caldari stations with the same corporation stuff, and they're all competing and stuff. So it's like, how can you build this all into a greater understanding using not only outside sources to flesh it out, but also grounding it in the reality of what we're dealing with on a day-to-day freaking basis, even though we don't pay attention to it, even though we're like, oh Christ, just get the grind through, stupid looking agent, stupid looking, I can't even see the planet, I'm looking at a moon most of the time, flying between these stupid stations, doesn't make sense, blah, and you don't care because it's just a game and you're trying to have fun with your friends and stuff. So yeah, so how do we define this party, right? And I know I'm not going to get any help here because these guys are completely useless. They'll make a system, but there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's like a really good DS9 episode. I hated them before Worf showed up. It's like a really good DS9 episode that went nowhere and came from nowhere and looked so random and didn't really build on anything except made. There's no really. It's not really a character development as much as right. So it's like it's been like how many years of backstory on these people. It's like go somewhere, and as soon as Worf showed up, it's like woohoo, let's go to war. But yeah, it's like a couple of okay. I'll keep reading. I'm always optimistic. It's stupid. I know these people can't, but I'm just going to try. They might accidentally throw in a word or two, right? The game is improved by fluke more than design, so... mute. I love this new microphone. Okay. As most Caldari trade is conducted by individual, that's fine. That's we've got that. They just shut up about that already. This makes it difficult for the other empires to deal with the political level. Okay, so what does that mean? As most Caldari trade is conducted by individual companies rather than the state. Okay, riddle me this. You're in Quaif Company. You're trading Quaif to Amar. Am I doing it at a political level? It's like, shut up, guys. It's like they're covering up the fact that they're not. They're deliberately like they know. It's like they know there's a like. Look, as most Caldari trade is conducted by individual. Let's reword that. As most descriptions of the Caldaris is individual corporations, rather than the state itself, like what is the chief executive panel, right? This makes it difficult for the other empires to deal with them at a political level. Well, what does that mean? It means this makes, because we haven't really talked about, I'm paraphrasing and making CCP honest in this statement. It's like, we've described the individual corporations, but we've really not fleshed out the chief executive panel as it pertains to other than people who are chief executives or on the panel. And so to deal with the Caldari state as a political level from, say, the foreign department of the Amarians and the foreign department of the Caldaris and foreign department of the Min Matter, who do they interact with if it's not some chief executive on the panel, right? So it makes it difficult for CCP to deal with the Caldari on a political level because they didn't flesh it out, because they're idiots. And they're using this as an excuse to go, oh, well, meh, that's reasons. And it's like, that doesn't make any sense, right? Apples, oranges, pears. If a company is found guilty of unethical business, it disappears into its parent, no longer one, another one, okay, blah, blah, blah. But if a Caldari company is the whole corporation, often the whole state backs up with full. Okay, so we get all that. We got all that back at this individual companies. We got that. We got all that. But this does not flesh out why you just dismiss the idea itself, right? Oh, it's too difficult for us. We're not going to deal with it, right? Oh, it's because blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. That did not explain how the other empires deal with the Caldari at a political level. You idiots, right? It's like, how do most people interact? Like, how does one of the agricultural corporations of Amar deal with citizens when they're trying to sell, or corporations or middle managers or whatever, when they want to sell something in Caldari space because they have stations in Caldari space because, right? So it's like, how do they get around greasing the wheels? What are they going to do? Go to the chief executive panel? Or somebody on the chief executive? Like, take a hike. That's like, this is why it's difficult for anybody to describe how people deal with Caldaris as an entity, right? Right? Because otherwise, it wouldn't be an empire. It would just be, right? It just, hello. So let's continue on with the hope that they'll get to something. They won't. Steeped in military tradition. Okay, we get the fact that their individual corporate police are cradle to grave, really focused, and everything else is kind of but what, like, they're not going to describe why the rest of society is a bit more unfocused than the military tradition, right? As a contrast? Oh, no, of course not. As a people, let's remember how to fight, blah, 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 blah. Everybody had to, blah, blah, blah. Shut up. Right? The martyrdom of the Caldaris to break away from them, blah, blah, blah. It's like, Jesus Christ, nobody cares. Like, nobody literally cares. Like, shut up. It was at this time the corporation established them as the drive force behind creating. Okay, so even if the Caldari have not engaged in war for many decades, they still strive to be the cutting edge of military technology. But it's like the Solarian core of the Omniverse. They have gotten their independence through bloody war. And they believe that they're at the cutting edge of military technology. But the fact that they have such a focus on military, but they compete like crazy, and it looks like they've got a very rigid Gestapo-like police state that it stifles by its very nature science, right? So where does religion come in this? Is there any religion? Is there any, like, religion versus science kind of thing going on? I doubt it. Not well, I don't know. But it's like, okay, so, right, great, okay, they're very militaristic, but how efficient are they at getting, innovation, right? Are they very rigid with that? It doesn't seem to be. Like, the Solarians in Mega Traveler are very innovative, and they take risks that a Vland Empire citizen was steeped in tradition, and to respect that and go with consensus of the corporate entity they're part of. Like, it's a kind of Japanese almost kind of like, you go out and party because the bosses are going and party. You go to sleep when the boss goes to sleep, kind of thing, right? So it's very rigid, and well, you can see that in the corporate structure, the megacorporate structure, of course. the Zaibatsus of cyberpunk, the Shadowrunner kind of stuff, right? Sporting activities. That's hilarious. So gambling and sporting. Okay, I think every single faction empire is going to have bread and circuses. So we're just going to ignore the bread and circuses BS because it doesn't help us understand the fascistic nature of it. I mean, did Mussolini or Hitler encourage sporting and betting? I mean, what's like, were the sports and betting like was it all outlawed, or was it like prohibition in the States, right? Gambling and sports in fascist were two countries. The Axis countries. Axes. Oh Jesus, that's hilarious. Oh yeah, they were big on gambling and horse betting and horse racing and other forms. Yeah, it was pretty big actually. It was a good moneymaker, right? Right? So, yeah. um, wow. Yeah. The abstract of stuff you read. I'll just bring it over here. Abstract of it is basically it helps the fascist ideal, because we're better than everybody else, and Mussolini actually I think introduced soccer to Italy. I'm not sure the internet. I could be wrong, but yeah, the idea of sports, and it's very fascistic. So yeah, that helps. Okay, that helps. Okay, so the party line, where like Mussolini, did you have to be part of the party? Like, was there what party was Mussolini? Because he was the first, right? Like, what's it different than a normal democratic party, right? Like, how does it function? It's different than, say, the Republican, the GOP, or the U.S.'s GOP, or any party that functions for campaigns, and how they get people to vote, all that mechanics, like how it like the Democratic Party and the Republican Party campaign platforms aren't like, they disappear, I guess, when somebody gets in power, or election year comes around, right? But the function of this overarching thing, like, there's one party, right? It's a one party state. Like, how do you define that when there's basically no voting and you just buy into it, right? I mean, it's hard to describe this stuff when you're just trying to imagine things that aren't in existence, right? Or are not very well communicated. Because Hitler had all the beer push stuff, and the beer hall talks, but it's like, people drink beer at beer halls. They're drunk. They listen to some yapping offer, and he would talk for hours. And you just look at Trump, and you're like, he can talk for hours, but it's like, what if, when he's just Hitler's gesturing and making all those, you know, it silent movie bullshit propaganda, right? And you're like, I bet that guy was talking just like Trump, trying to keep on script, was going off all the time, lying his face off all the time. What if Hitler is exactly like Trump with zero charisma? I mean, Trump doesn't have any charisma. He just lies and lies and lies and lies and panders to the crazy base, the ones that totally believe his. I mean, there are some really good, like the election 2016 when Hillary lost. Everybody thought she was going to win. The polls were all their side, and you watched interviewers gloating as they talked to Republican voters, like young Republican voters in suits, and they were talking anti-establishment, but it wasn't the Bernie Sanders anti-establishment of the left. It was the Reaganite trickle-down thing, the libertarian, the Ayn Rand worshipping stuff of, the government is bad, the smaller the government is better, the government's too big, it's too bloated, we need to, that whole thing of ask what you can do for your country, not what your country can do for you. And that country can do for you is morphed into it's too big, it's giving too much away, yada yada kind of stuff. And to be able to, I forgot where I was going with this. Lol. But yeah, that fascistic. Yeah, sorry. Found my talking point. The Trump is pandering to the crazy base, but the core of this, the intelligent people who are voting for, my party, right or wrong, right? My country, right or wrong, my party, right or wrong, and a vote no matter what. And it's like, this guy's got a chance of, like, when the vote is split 50-50, people don't care, right? If the vote's 50-50 all the time, it's the only people who care, the people who participate, everybody's just giving up on the stupid system that doesn't work. And people are like, hey, give this guy a shot, see if it works. And he ripped off the polite mask of the government. And so that mask is, what if there was, in the Caldari state thing, what if there was, like, look at the states, it's like, yeah, they're the same party. They get the same results, right? So it's like, okay, what if there wasn't a two-state party, winner takes all, first past the post thing? What if it was just one party? You didn't get to vote at all. It was, if you want to participate in the system, you have to, and get clout, you've got to buy into this party thing, this the one party of the Caldari state. So it's very fascistic. It's very, it's not run by a Hitler-esque or a Trump like figure. It's efficient corporate executives in a chief executive panel running the show, and you just buy into it because it helps grease the wheels of dealing with, say, if Caldari is dealing with an Amarian foodstuffs corporation or anything like that, like international trade or interstellar trade, they would have some clout in getting in a position to make sure, like, the goods arrived at their door, right? I mean, how does all that work? How does it get to the supermarkets? How does Amarian foodstuffs, because they're in Caldari space selling stuff, I mean, they got to get the profit somehow. How does that mesh with, and what does that interact with, like, as a whole? And it makes a lot of sense to deal with the party than rather trying to sell it to individual corporations, right? It would make sense that it happened that way, right? I mean, maybe entire planets are owned by a single corporation. And when you go to a solar system, there's lots of different planets owned by different corporations because of the stations. What you go to some planets and there are different corporations with the same planet with, planet 2's got like 3 different Caldari stations. It's like, how do you explain that? Who owns that planet? How does, we can't oversimplify the issue to discard the need for an overarching party, right? So, okay, so the color theory opposite decisions the best and worst in living conditions. So that was a meaningless statement. As long as you keep in line with the Gestapo, do your job, uphold the laws and so forth, the laws of whom? We still haven't got to who makes the laws, right? So it's the chief executive panel and the party who makes those laws, right? And the customs and the laws that they mentioned earlier, right? Life can be fairly pleasant, productive, but for those who, this is very cynical, isn't it? It's not. If you read source books, like the one I was trying to show you, that's hard to load. The source books for actual RPG games, like this, they're really good ones, and most of them suck. But if you read good ones, they have the role-playing version of the shiny version of the subjective, and then they do the dungeon master kind of game master thing of GM of, hey, this is the actual way it works, different than the propaganda, right? So there's no, as long as you keep in line, do your job, uphold the laws and so forth, life can be very pleasant and productive. But those who are not cut out for this strict, disciplined regime life, what? For this tradition, for this traditional outlook on life, the very tradition-minded, this strict, disciplined, tradition-based life quickly become life. Strict, disciplined, tradition-focused. Just like, it has to be, as long as you respect their traditions, that's they haven't described the customs as very, they haven't described it yet, have they? There's sports, it's like gambling, whoa, and it's like, shut up. It's like, it's a very stratified, very traditional, very loyalty-based system where, it's a social credit kind of thing, the Chinese kind of thing. There's like, as long as you don't buck the boat, life can be very pleasant and productive. But those who are not cut out for this strict discipline regime for those who are not cut out for this strict discipline regime, life quickly becomes intolerable. But why would anybody want to, being part of the Scientology, why do you want to be ostracized? Right? It's a very grave risk you take, and right, it's not like, oh, I want to join the party on the left. No, they just have one party. So you can't be independent. If you're independent, you won't have any clout, you won't have any standing, you won't be able to get anything done, right? It's like, why would, and like, you're all part of, you're employee of some corporation. What, is there an independent is there, no, there's not. Like, everything's owned by, the planets are owned by corporations. You're employee of one of these corporations in order to get by. There's no mom and pop at the corner, right? It's like, right? So why do you feel you're not cut out for this? I mean, there are the Shadowrunners, right? The Shadowrunners of Cyberpunk, the shadowy figures who operate illegally to do the dirty work of the corporations so they don't lose face, yada yada, blah blah blah, right? That plausible deniability. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about people who just aren't cut out for life. I mean, the culture is uphold traditions. It's efficient. It's very efficient. Well, for the things that they want to deal with, but it's very efficient. If you keep in line, you will get stuff like trade happens very efficiently in, let's, like the role-playing Mega Traveler world says that, holds that a very traditional Villani culture makes trade, once you get through the red tape, very efficient. And they don't talk about red tape here. They don't, the words that the common words that people use every day about describing stuff. It's like, yeah, it's very efficient, but it's, God, there's so much rules and regulations and red tape. But it's like, that's not laws. It's something else, right? So it's like, they don't, it's just like gambling and sports and blah, 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 and it's like, but why, how many are not cut out for this strict? Like, how many mom and pop organizations are there? None, I can guarantee you. Not in this society. So it's like, how they lose their respect, family, status, everything, and the only options left them is suicide or exile, but exile to where, right? So, although not xenophobic as such, but why? Why aren't they xenophobic? Like, they distrust their neighbors. Their police forces are all in corporation. They don't have any global police force. They got a global. They have an interstellar navy, but they don't have an interstellar police force like the Clancy do, right? So it's just like, I could be wrong, but that's what I'm working on so far. And it's like, this is and right, the Ministry of Internal Order, like freaking Amarian, and I'm sure the Matters have some interstellar kind of cop force, but these guys don't, right? So it's like, yeah, if they're xenophobic about their freaking competitors, what do you think they're going to be about, the other races? It's like, yeah, they're not xenophobic as in they won't trade with them at all, because obviously there's Amar and Galanti and Matter stations in Caldari space. So how are they gonna? Why would they be corporations there if they didn't make profit? Right? It's just hello. So the Caldari are very protective of their way of life, but no, they're very protective of their traditions and their red tape, right? And tolerate only foreigners that stick to the rules. Well, great, there you go. But it's like, talk about tradition. Talk about the bad side of the good side of tradition and the bad side of tradition, and focus, and not just like, well, they're not xenophobic as such, but, and it's like, but you can't say it's the best of times, it's the worst of times, and it's like, that's can't be the way you describe empires, which of course it's the way CCP describes empires. It's the best of times, it's the worst of times. Oh well, that really helps. And great, we've reached the end and we didn't get anywhere. The Caldari state stands for corporate capitalism purest form. But describe it. Like, if you're making a game, freaking try to describe that as the way it functions, right? I mean, what is corporate capitalism in its purest form? Well, corporate capitalism in its purest form would be the free market without regulation, and that would be a disaster. Everything would fall apart in an instant. The only way America and Britain and all the major superpowers of the world, they got that way because they were very protective of their market, and they had a lot of tariffs and stuff to make sure that their stuff got sold and made a profit so they could make money, they could freaking survive, yada yada. So it's, and these days, America, just look at America as an example of the perfect corporate capitalism. There's a corporate welfare state. I mean, the people bail out the too big to fail. I mean, hello. But is it explained here? No, it's like corporate capitalism in purest form, and then you just move on. It's like, it's up to you to help to fill this out. You're making lore, not we're not. CCP is bumper sticker frickin' descriptions, right? They don't go into detail. They just bumper sticker. It's like sound bites. It's like, yeah, sounds like corporate capitalism in its purest form. You know, soundbite, 20-second soundbite. There you go. Fit in between a commercial. There are 8 great corporations that hold together more than 90% of all property within the state. That's okay. So why are there 4? I mean, right? Why are there are 4 great corporations and 4 minor corporations that together own more than 90% of all property within the state. That would really help. That would totally help, right? Each of the corporations is made up of, but it's like we're correcting their gaps and trying to find words that help solidify the idea of efficient, traditional, lack of innovation. They will innovate, but very slowly and very efficiently and very carefully. Change is very resisted by the Caldaris, but they are efficient and they want to get better, so they will innovate, but it's very slow, right? And there's good things to say about careful innovation, right? Each of the corporations is made up of thousands of companies, various sizes and various sorts, ranging from blah, 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 to powerful police companies. But they don't say, the focus. Like, simple mining companies? Are you kidding me? You should see the spam of agents in some systems. That's not simple. And then to powerful police companies. Well, the focus, the massive micro focus on very, very cradle to grave police forces for each of the corporations is contrasted with the very unfocused, very interesting signature move of Caldari corporations in a system to have like 1 billion stations with 1 agent each. So it's like, how do you, they don't. So it's like we are left to have to grasp at straws, basically, because CCP doesn't know what the left hand is doing versus the right? And it's like, bumper sticker, ugh, right? And it's like, God, could you just sit down and just, after 20 years, just freaking think about this stuff? We'll play let's play, at the end of this, let's play the video and see if there's anything, like new video, and see if there's anything, we can gain from that. Virus. Nope. Empire? Nope. Faction? Okay, that's my newest one. Okay, this will have this should be my original one. So nope. Okay, where is it? Fucking frick. Come on, I didn't put in a... Give me a second. I'll find it. Nope. Faction. Okay, wait. Lore. Alright. Caldari. So, what's that? Yay, mute button. Actual mute button. You don't have to listen to me banging around anymore. This is awesome. Okay, so Caldari wallpaper. Right? Very blocky, very efficient. The old video. Play it.
The Caldari state is a union of powerful megacorporations governed by a strict meritocracy. The state is a fiercely competitive and ruthless society whose hyper-capitalistic ways have brought its people both misery and triumph.
So why is it ruthless, right? Why is it ruthless? Okay, well, they had to fight a war to break away from blah Galenti, blah blah blah. But it's like what made them that way in the beginning? Why they like, you know, the Israelis had to bomb freaking Gaza Strip because October 7th, and it's like, yeah, but how did you go from before October 7th to lockstep, we need to river to the sea massacre everybody because they're after us an existential threat? It's like, how did you get to that ruthless state in the first place, and how did it continue past the event? Right? You gained independence, great. So why are you still ruthless? So is fascism just seen as ruthless? Right? I mean, you're dealing with an empire and you're trying to make it hyper fascistic and hyper capitalistic and hyper corporate. How do you make that a good thing? It's like, you can't just say they're ruthless, and it's like, what? It's like, that makes no sense. It's like, is the pursuit of red tape and the insistence on tradition ruthless? Ruthless to whom? Why? Right? It's like, the audience is expected to be Galente-like, right? So why are you speaking to an audience of Galentes? Why aren't you? You're trying to introduce things to a Caldari, not a Galente audience. You're trying to say, we respect tradition. We are the cutting edge of technology, but at the same time, a careful innovation. We have seen the dangers of uncontrolled innovation, that our police forces are strong and they protect each of our corporations internally, and we are focused on that, and make some airy-fairy joke about on the other side how, you know, a dozen corporate stations with one agent each, right, versus the cradle to grave police forces. Like, why the police forces cradle to grave, yet everything else isn't, right? It's like, why is that? And the mining is good. The mining is great, right? Simple mining, bullshit. It's like, whoa, right? They are the police mining state, right? So it's like, how do you... The Amarians have the great trading stations in Losec that are just amazing, like, just blow you away. So how do the Amarians do like that? Are the Amarians Solomani, kind of? Like, the dangerous innovation kind of thing? Right? They don't respect science because they're so religious. So, right? So that kind of thing. So does fascism have any need for religion? I'm sure it does. I mean, is it, like, what kind of religion do the Caldaris have? They must, right? Right? Do they have religion? It's like, what kind of I talked about it in the other video that I made, a long rant about the different factions. It's like, one's based on Hinduism, one's based on Zen Buddhism, one's based on Christian evangelical stuff, and another one's based on, I forget. But yeah, that kind of like, if we're going to do this, let's do this smart, and let's have a fun time trying to be inclusive of as many, like, Muslims, right? Islam, right? Different from, of course, Hinduism, and different from Zen Buddhism, I think, and different from evangelical Christians. And it's like, there must be some common ground with, right? So you'd imagine that and try to draw the Caldari player who thinks of being Caldari, instead of talking to him like he's a Galante already. It's like, how does that make any sense, right? So it's like, anyway, so yeah, but it's a short one. Here is the new one, right? So, and of course, this will help me. This is kind of like a first draft of introducing everybody to the actual Caldari state behind the flashy soundbite, which you're going to listen to right now.
Citizens of the state, remember what it is to be Caldari. We fought for our independence, driven by survival. We overcame dire adversity by our unity. Skill and sacrifice built our prosperity. In defense of this, we must embrace our duty. Loyalty to the corporation. Respect for the family. Service to the state. This is the Caldari way.
Loyalty to the corporation, duty to the corporation, loyalty to the family, service to the state. But service how, right? So to ground the lore, the official canon of service to the state, that would be, if you're going to serve, like, what does that mean, right? Obviously they mean, in the military, or in the police force, or no, it's like, but in what capacity? Like, one of the corporations is the Caldari Navy, right? Right? So, duty to your corporate navy, Caldari Navy, right? So it's like, okay, so where does the service to whom? Like, what do we serve as the state? What is the state? How do we serve the state if it's not our corporation, right? So you go, okay, so service to the party, right? And they have this golden opportunity to plagiarize, within reason, the Starship Trooper stuff by Heinlein. I'm sure it's Heinlein, right? Yeah, Robert E. Heinlein. Yeah. Yeah, he was a science fiction author, aeronautic engineer, and naval officer. He died in 1988. Yeah, it was... I mean, what books did he write other than Starship Troopers? Probably just Starship Troopers, right? Yeah, he wrote during the days of Pulp Fiction. Like, he started writing it. His first one apparently was 1947. That's just after the war, right? And then Starship Troopers was in 1959, right? And then after that, Stranger in a Strange Land. Maybe, right? I don't see anything beyond Starship Troopers. I think he was a one-hit wonder, honestly. I mean, sure, I'm getting screamed at by sci-fi literature fans right now. Sorry for offending. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't find anything other than that. But yeah, I mean, the whole Starship Troopers stuff. And we've seen the movie, haven't we? I'm sure you have. I mean, we're fans of science fiction spaceship stuff. It's just, eat it like popcorn. So I never watched I think I tried to watch the second one, but gave up instantly. But, the first movie was pretty cool, right? Do you want to know more? Right? So yeah, I do want to know more about the Caldaris. Like, what does he mean by service to the state, right? Service to the party, further the party cause of the state. I am the chief. I'm part of the chief executive panel. I don't think they have a chairman. Part of the chief executive panel of one of the four. We are the state. I mean, who's the spokesperson for that, right? I mean, there was one person, so why is there not four, right? So it's like, who are you? I bet you're not one of the chief executive panelists. I bet you're a high-ranking party official of the Caldari, of the chief executive panel party, right? I mean, getting beyond that, it's a word salad, isn't it? It's very unaesthetic to say it. So it's like the Caldari state party, or Caldari, like, I'd rather call it the party, right? I mean, could we use the same definition of the Galanti? No. Could we use the same definition for the Amari? No. Could we use the same definition for the Minmatar? Don't think so. But to say the party, loyalty to the party, would be very fascistic, right? So, party, corporation, family, right? Service to the party, duty to your corporation, like what's your actual job besides your political thing, unless that's your thing. And I don't think it is. I think it's like a side hustle. I think the party is a side hustle that you have, but you're also part of, I am a middle manager in the party, but I am also a Kalakawit middle manager or something, or a regional manager or something, and I have a family. So it's like, that kind of thing, and stringing that together to make sense, and then flesh it out. So yeah, hopefully these meanderings will help me build on the Caldari state. But you can see how bumper sticker these videos are, right? And how simplistic it is to go, oh, we're this way because we fought for our independence and we survived afterwards. Okay, so you're now one of the four major, why the martyrdom? Why the, oh, poor me, we had to do it because meh, and this is why we're this way. It's like, why the martyrdom complex? You're massively how is that attractive to a player? Like, most players don't give a crap. It's like, okay, but that, or who knows? It used to be the default choice. And besides, Jita is Jita, right? So that's why people choose it. But it's like, beyond that, what are you, a whiny emo? Is that, is that the reason? It's like, yeah. Do you seriously consider the Caldari to be this?
defiance in the eyes, like his father.
Why do you have a blanket on your face?
Come here, kneel.